Joshua chapters 1 through 24. Once we faced the Jordan crossing, hearts were pausing while still tossing, promised vistas stretching outward, weaving wonders in this broad land. Moving forth the priests were crossing, hearts all tossing, fates were glossing. Then he said, "I'll never leave you, trust my voice and boldly stand." In the hush, the promise thundered, weaving strong hope through every hand. So they rose in firm conviction, stepping bravely onward at command. Banks once parted, waters flowing, hearts were glowing, wonders knowing. Mark these stones with solemn purpose, let their memory anchor stone. Breathe the promise daily, glowing, each new showing, wonders knowing. So they set the sculpted markers, standing there sure beneath that throne. Every footstep claims the future, forging courage in this zone. And by faith their story echoes, carved in true hearts as steadfast tone. Round the fortress hearts were quaking, dread was waking, lines were breaking. March around that wall in silence, trust the bright promise through it all. Seventh day, the trumpets bracing, walls were spacing, burdens shaking. At the shout the ramparts tumbled, Jericho fast began its fall. Bells of triumph soared in echoes, swirling bold hope with vibrant call. Thus they claimed the city's promise, answered boldly once for us all. Sent 2 spies by mercy bidden, found her ribbon, secrets hidden. Rahab's shelter, shield of scarlet, led their footsteps into grace. Worlds of fear were left forbidden, by her courage still unhidden. Bound by faith, she claimed salvation, finding refuge in that place. Crimson cord became her promise, marking hope in danger's face. So the Lord preserved her household, grafted in with love's embrace. Greed lay heavy, hearts were turning, secret yearning, conscience burning. Achan's stealth defiled the camp, cloaked transgression under shame. Golden spoils, though bright and churning, left the people lost and burning. At the battle's edge they stumbled, anguished by the hidden flame. Trembling souls in sorrow wondered who had scarred the holy name. Once unmasked, the sin was judged, so all might heed the Lord the same. Steeled in truth, they rose to fighting, storms uniting hearts and striving. Joshua planned a cunning ambush, forging pathways through the night. Foes pursued, their pride contriving, soon undone by Israel's striving. Ai was taken, gates were broken, darkness shivered under light. Once in gloom the camp was mended, clothed again in holy might. Thus the faithful pressed triumphant, trusting wisdom in their sight. Worn-out garments brought them pleading, sly misleading, secret breeding. Gibeon feigned a distant journey, forging words beneath disguise. Covenants sealed without God's leading, oaths unheeding, truth still pleading. Soon the ruse was clear and bitter, though they clung to twisted ties. Mercy held them under treaty, bound as servants for the prize. Israel learned to heed the Spirit, never trusting mortal lies. Fivefold armies pressed in, spurning Israel's yearning. Day was turning. Hills bore witness to the conflict, blazing fear upon the sky. Joshua's prayer, his spirit burning, night was churning, time was turning. Sun stood still at his petition, halting doom at heaven's cry. Hailstones thundered from the highest, crushing foes that soared too high. Victory soared with wondrous power, God's own strength the sure reply. Fortress walls fell quickly, shielding none from wielding swords cold yielding. Makkedah to Lachish thundered, host on host in fearful war. Confidence among them building, kingdoms tilting, walls were yielding. Hebron trembled, cities crumbled, echoes spread through ancient door. Armies fled before Jehovah, trembling at his mighty lore. South lay quiet, lands surrendered, conquest opened something more. Nations gathered, war drums falling, once enthralling, doom was calling. Hazor rose with chariots blazing, forging shadows out of fears. Joshua moved at God's true stalling, foes appalling, hushed that calling. Horses hamstrung, strongholds shattered, quenched the might of sharpened spears. Long the fight, yet faith persisted, trust that blossomed through the years. Northern kings were cast to ruin, drowned by unstoppable tears. Tribal borders soon were growing, lines bestowing promise showing. Goshen's fields to Judah's boundary, each inheritance to claim. Portions drawn, the lots were flowing, order glowing, wonders showing. Ephraim soared beside Manasseh, forging lineage just the same. Northern slopes and southern pastures all were granted free from blame. Thus they dwelled within the promise, each entrusted by his name. Mercy rose for those unwilling, hearts were chilling, guilt was stilling. Cities set apart for justice, safe for those who seek to stand. Avengers' wrath, by law fulfilling, found no killing. Hearts were stilling. Fugitives could plead their case, abiding under God's sure hand. Once the priest had met his ending, they returned to home and land. Such a shadow of redemption, singing grace at his command. Levites called without land earning, sacred yearning, hearts were turning. Towns were given midst the tribes, pasture lots their portion due. Service offered, altars burning, incense churning, spirits turning, spread across the nation's dwelling, teaching truth in all they knew. None withheld from sacred labor, they were chosen to shine through. So the worship of Jehovah pulsed in reverence deep and true. Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh gazing, altar blazing, fervor raising, rumors spread of idol tribute, fueled suspicions in the spite. War was near, the people praising wrath and hazing, tempers raising. Phinehas led the charged assembly, braced for sacrificial fight. East explained their holy token, sign of bond in God's pure light. Peace prevailed, the tribes united, proved their vow to stand in right. Hearts were calmed by truth's adorning, no more scorning, gentle warning. Soon they parted, east from west, each returning to their home. Memories sealed the sacred morning, threads untying bitter warning. In the hush of war averted, love replaced the angry foam. Thus the banner of his promise stretched across the lands they'd roam. God of peace, who heals all nations, crowned his people with shalom. Aged leader, wisdom trying, farewell crying, echoes sighing. Summoned elders, hearts recalling victories shaped by holy rest. Words of counsel never dying, truth relying, softly sighing. Warned them not to blend with idols, keep the covenant so blessed. Mighty foes had bowed before them, God had proven every test. Joshua urged them all to follow, cleave to goodness at its best. Be ye strong, the cry outpouring, courage soaring, spirit roaring. Walk the righteous path he showed you, do not swerve from heaven's line. Though the world may shake with warring, still his storing love is roaring. Drive out doubt and cling to promise, anchor hope in arms divine. Israel, your banner glistens, shining as a faithful sign. Stand united, firm in calling, grafted to the holy vine. Shechem's altar, torches burning, hearts returning, memory yearning. Joshua spoke the ancient story, bidding all to make their choice. Past and present interlacing, faith discerning, fires burning. Recollect how God delivered, parted seas at his strong voice. Leave the idols of your fathers, let your spirit now rejoice. Stand before the living covenant, parted from the worldly noise. Now the moment stands unshaking, vow is making or is breaking, whom to serve, the gods of yesterday, or he who leads you still. Joshua's voice was firm, partaking truth awaking, walls were breaking. He declared, "My house shall worship one who grants our souls goodwill. If you cling to lesser figures, emptiness shall only fill. But if God remains your fortress, find your anchor past each hill." Firm his pledge, a promise clearing, timeless fearing, still revering. As for me and all my household, we shall rise at God's command. Israel stirred, the echo nearing, hearts endearing, truth was hearing. If we serve the Lord unswerving, he shall shield our treasured land. Casting foreign gods behind us, we submit to heaven's hand. Earnest vow sealed in assembly, forging hope where souls now stand. All the tribes in earnest kneeling, hearts unsealing, truth was pleading. We will serve the Lord Almighty, let obedience mark each word. Covenant bound, their spirit feeding, claim exceeding, faith was pleading. Joshua cautioned them of failure, sin's seduction often heard. Yet the people, bold and eager, soared with hope like morning bird. Thus they sealed their oath in union, vowing fealty to the Lord. Scrolls were read, the laws now marrying hearts for parrying, truth carrying, words inscribed on stone in memory, guiding each and every way. Witness stones in silence harrying, watchful tarrying, vow carrying. Falter not to heed this teaching, hold his precepts night and day. As you dwell within his promise, push all idols far away. Then in trials or storms or famine he shall hear you when you pray. Days grew tender, old age creeping, silent weeping, peaceful sleeping. Joshua died at 110 winters, having led them to this end. Israel paused, their memories keeping, softly reaping tears of sleeping. In the land he gained by promise, sorrow balanced faithful friend. Joseph's bones found final resting, promised soil where hearts could bend. Thus the leader's torch was darkened, yet God's mercies still extend. Echoes linger, promise-giving, light forgiving, hope still living. Covenant once sworn at Shechem stands eternal, bold and true. Though the years keep onward thrifting, hearts uplifting, grace is living. Follow now the God who rescued, leading slaves to journey through. Like the Jordan parted widely, trust the wonders that you knew. Israel's story calls us onward, choose his glory as your view.